So I guess we'll get started. I'm sensitive to everybody's time. So I first just want to say thanks very much for joining us today. I know people have busy lives and busy schedules, so we certainly appreciate you taking some time to learn more about our digital marketing program. So on the webinar today is obviously myself. I'm the program manager, and my role really is to manage the program. So I don't teach any of the courses. I worry about hiring instructors, hiring the curriculum developers, some of the marketing, really, but I think my biggest role is to make sure that you as students have a very positive experience. So if that's all being met, then I've done my job. So that's really my biggest role. And also today is joining us is Rebecca Shevel, and she's an advisory board member. And when we went to develop this program, she was part of a group that really helped give us direction and strategy and what the courses should look like, what some of the topics should be. So she was very instrumental in kind of figuring out what this all looked like. And she's going to share some more with us shortly, and she'll also introduce herself and give you more about her background, but she's also on the webinar today. So I just wanted to ask a few poll questions to better understand who's with us today. So give me a second just to pull that up, and I will. So the first question I'm just curious is, which certificate are you interested in? So we've got, as you know, 3 different certificates. We have a certificate in digital marketing, a certificate in content marketing, and then we've combined them to actually create a full-time offering, which is about 8 courses, which I'll talk in more detail. But just curious which one people are most interested in. The 3 courses in digital, the 3 courses in content, or the sort of combination. Give people another second or two to vote. All right, last call for votes. Okay, almost everybody, perfect. All right, so you can kind of see from the results, sorry, my phone's ringing, I can't turn that off. You'll see from the results that half the group is looking for the 3 courses in digital, and the other half is looking for the 8-course full-time program, and only a couple of people looking for the content marketing. I'll certainly speak to all of them, so don't worry about that, but it's just helpful for me to know where people's interests lie. Okay, the next question. Just wondering how much experience people have working in digital or content marketing. So it's either 0, you don't have any, 1 to 3, or if you've got plus 4. All right, another second for that. Okay, so you can see from the results here again, there's a majority of you have no experience at all, which is great. I probably should ask the follow-up question is if you have experience in marketing, which is fine. We'll sort of maybe at another point we'll have that discussion. But it looks like there's some people who have some experience in digital or content, and a majority of you don't. So that's perfectly fine. I'll go into the program details a bit and share more about the prereqs and things. I think it is good to have some concept of marketing before you dive into the more specific digital and content components. But if you don't, that's okay too. Okay, so one more question. Just wondering, for the people who have some experience in marketing, just wondered if people work for an agency, do they work for the client side, in-house or client direct? Maybe there's something else, or if it's not applicable because you don't have any experience, just put not applicable. Just give it another second or so for people to vote. One more second. Okay. So for this one, interesting that a fair number of you obviously don't have any experience, so obviously in this case it's NA. Some people have some agency experience, some client side, there's some other. So that's all good. Just gives us a basic sense for sort of where people are coming from. And this also may help Rebecca when she's doing her talk in a few minutes to give some more specific information. All right, great. So let's go back to my slides. Okay, got it. Okay, so let me talk a bit more about the courses in particular. So as we talked about earlier, there's 2 different programs that are 3 courses. There are 3 course certificates. The first one's in digital marketing. Now, I won't go into any details. You can go to our website, which I'll show you later, and kind of learn more about the courses. But there's a course in the fundamentals of digital marketing. There's marketing for search engines and social media. And there's user engagement and marketing automation. Rebecca, maybe if you have a question later, she can sort of speak more to the content since she's obviously the expert. I don't teach the courses as I mentioned earlier. Just a couple things that I will mention. So the second and the third course will actually have a real world project. And I wanted to share that because I think it's really important, especially as people are trying to build portfolios and go into interviews and sort of have something to share with prospective employers. So what we've done is we've created it for the second course in particular, I could talk about since that one's a little more fully developed, that project. So it's actually a digital marketing strategy project. And what we're doing is we're going to sort of we're reaching out to organizations and companies that may have a need for this. We'll have like teams of about 4 or 5 people. You'll actually then work with a real company. You'll get sort of their insights into what they're currently doing. You'll get insights into sort of their budget spend. You'll actually be communicating with people from that organization, and you'll then create a strategy for them which they can implement or use parts of or inspire them to do something else. But again, it's not just going to be a fictitious project on Tim Hortons as an example. It's going to be a real company which you can then make some real connections, and maybe there's opportunities to connect with the company afterwards if there's any job opportunities. So kind of a cool feature. We're pretty excited about it, and I think it just adds to the content in a great way because it gives you a chance to sort of put into action what you're doing and learning in the classroom. The other program is content marketing, which is a little more specific into the content part of digital, sort of an offshoot. It's certainly the digital is a little more mainstream at this point. The content is, I think, it's a growing field in terms of people having credentials in that area. But if you have some experience in digital and you want to then specialize even further, the content may be a good fit for you. And obviously the 3 courses there: planning analysis for content marketing, content creation, and content promotion and amplification. So again, on the website, there's some more details about that. If you have specific questions, I can certainly try and answer them. Rebecca can probably answer some if possible. If not, I'll just go to the instructors and get the details and respond to you offline. So here is what the full-time program looks like. So we've taken the 3 courses in digital, we've taken the 3 courses in content, we've combined them, and then we've added 2 additional courses, one in the fundamentals of marketing and one in business in the digital age. So this program is going to be full-time. There'll be day courses, which I'll talk about in a moment. And I think what's important here is this is a little more for the people who have a little less experience, because we're obviously going to give you some foundations in marketing and some business, which I think are important in terms of the context of understanding how digital marketing and content marketing fit into an actual business and the strategy and the business goals, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure those align well. So this is the full-time offering. So the 2 certificates, the 3 course certificates, I'll just go back. So these 2 3-course certificates are blended. And what we mean by blended is there's 7 weeks of online and there's 1 weekend block of face-to-face. So in the first course, the fundamentals of digital marketing, the weekend block is actually going to take place in the end of the 2nd week. So there'll be some learnings prior to that. You guys will come together as a group. You'll have lots of sort of interactions and working on group projects and case studies and those kinds of things, because it's taking advantage of that time. And then you go back off and you're doing the rest of the course online. The second course is a little different. They've got the face-to-face, I think, in the 5th week, if I'm not mistaken. So again, each person who developed the course figured out which content was best in which week. And again, for the first one, it's in week 2. There is no, application process for the for the 2 certificates. It's just direct entry. The programs are about, did I say that right? About 7 months in length. I think I have the number off a bit. They're cohort-based. And why that's important is because the students who are in the first class are the same students in the second class, same students in the third class. And, people as a group kind of form relationships. It's a great way to sort of create some study groups. Maybe you're looking for a job and somebody has an opening and you sort of have that connection through the course. You can certainly refer people. Or maybe someone just has a little more experience in the field and you've got some questions around, what life is really like as a digital or content marketer. So I think it's a nice advantage. Something you should definitely take advantage of for sure. And then there's the graded assignments and projects, obviously, because you're getting a grade for your course. Each one's going to be a little different in terms of what those things are, but you should certainly expect, some quizzes, there's participation, there's going to be some sort of final project. There are those real life projects, which I mentioned. And the instructors. I think it's important to sort of note that our courses are being taught by practitioners. So they're not full-time faculty who just spend their time doing research. These are people who have day jobs. They're very familiar with current practices and trends in the field, and they obviously bring that learning to you. This is just a sample of what that online sort of schedule looks like. Like I said, online, there's the second week of face-to-face, and then there's a break in between all the different courses, okay? This is just an example of what the full-time program looks like. So you can see you're in classes 4 days a week, you're in class 3 hours a day, and once that time has been set for the program, it's the same for the 8 courses. So you can certainly schedule your time accordingly. If you've got other commitments, life, work, family, whatever the case may be, you can certainly arrange your schedule for the entire duration of the program based on when the course is running. And I'm pretty certain it's from 8:30 to 11:30 starting in September. So again, you can sort of see you're in class Monday and Wednesday for the fundamentals class, and the digital business course is on Tuesday, Thursday, and that's how it'll roll out for the duration of the program. So you're kind of taking 2 courses at a time for that 3 hours a day. You should probably bank on about 8 to 10 hours of outside work as well, just in terms of readings and activities and group work and that kind of stuff. The full-time program does have an application process. So if that's your interest, you do need to apply to the program. You need a college diploma or a degree. And if you're an international student, you need a 6.0 overall for your IELTS score. So if you're not international, obviously that doesn't matter to you. But if you're international, that's sort of the minimum requirement, okay? So that's all I wanted to sort of talk about from a program perspective. Now I'm going to sort of pass it over to Rebecca, and I'm going to do a little Q&A with Rebecca and sort of ask her some questions. She'll share a bit more about what she's done, which will be the first question I ask her. But she does work for an organization called Fifth Story, and she's the director of marketing. And as I said, she was very instrumental as part of the group that helped us really design the program and strategically figure out what's most important that people need to learn. And then that got sort of developed through the people who developed the courses. So with that, I will ask Rebecca, I guess, my first question, which is maybe just tell us a bit about the journey you took to become the director of marketing at Fifth Story.
Sure. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I have had a really exciting career path that has led me to my current role at Fifth Story. I began as a TV producer and worked my way up through the production world, learning lots about different elements that are involved in production and actually, you know, as far as live broadcasting, etc. And then I moved to the corporate world and worked in a more traditional type of role in an office, wearing suits, very different from the TV production world. But I certainly learned some basic fundamentals of business, and it was definitely a very valuable experience for me. Then I moved into media sales because I really missed working in television, but I knew that I could do something similar with those types of people. So I ended up selling advertising, and it was a pretty easy transition for me. I worked for almost 20 years selling newspapers, magazines, radio, and digital. And I worked for a variety of companies, all leading brands, both as a salesperson, but also helping clients create marketing programs and, you know, execute them on different multimedia platforms. Then we had a bit of a change in the marketplace in the late 2000s, and I experienced 2 layoffs in a short amount of time. And that's when I really started to think about what does my future look like, and what do I want to do with my career? And I realized that the industry was evolving, and if I wanted to remain relevant, I needed to morph into more of a pure marketer role. So I did, and I applied my knowledge to, you know, complex strategies. I worked for a variety of different companies and helped them create programs that used a variety of touch points, but always focused on, you know, what's in it for the customer, and how can we find the right place, the right time to talk to them. And through that, I certainly continued to learn, and I still learn. I think I learn something new every day. which is part of the reason why I love this industry. And then finally, I ended up here at Fifth Story. It's been almost 2 years. I worked with the president of Fifth Story, Shelley Middlebrook, many years ago, and she was looking for someone with my skill set, and I was open to hearing about opportunities. So I came on board, and it's been a wonderful experience. And I'm really happy here as I continue to work with a talented and successful team.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing that. Okay, so the first question I guess maybe would be wonderful if you shared is, can you just talk a bit about the trends that you've seen in digital marketing in the last sort of, I don't know, 3 to 5 years?
Absolutely. There have been a lot of changes within the industry. The first one is the always on difference. According to one of our good resources, the government resource CIRA, 74% of Canadians spend 3 to 4 hours per day online. So knowing that our audiences are seeking connectivity and they are using their mobile devices, it's a really important thing to think about, is that, people are always on, and you need to make sure you are sensitive to that with whatever messaging you use in market. The next thing would be mobile internet use. So no big surprise, 75% of Canadians said that they typically access the internet using their mobile device. So whatever, digital programs you may be working on, you need to think about how that would work on a mobile device or a tablet, because the days of people using their desktops and laptops, that's just one of the many touch points they may use to get onto the net, but it's not the only one. So making sure that things are, able to appear and work well in a mobile experience is super important. The third thing I would say is content marketing, and Todd touched upon this earlier in our conversation. And, more and more brands are using content to tell their story, because what they're trying to do is connect with people. And people are smart. People see, what the content is. They understand what people are trying to do, whether it's they're trying to get you to click through to something or purchase something, or they want to communicate a special message. It's really important that it's clear, it's done correctly, and content marketing is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. The next trend I have seen is with programmatic marketing. And I think that's partially what helped me make this change from a sales role into a pure marketer role a few years ago, is that the machines are here to stay. They are making media buying and planning and strategizing much easier, because it's all done through machines. And the machines are smart, and they have the ability to do things that we as humans could never do. So instead of fighting it, I embrace it, and understanding how it works and how you can use it to your advantage is what's going to help you stay ahead as a marketer. So, for example, using Google Ad Network to create a custom audience and then remarket to your target audience is both effective and very cost efficient. And it allows you to do things that, from a budgetary standpoint, you could have never afforded to do if you were buying old school media or planning strategy using things like homepage takeovers or high impact interstitials and digital engagements. And then the next thing I have here is paid media. So earlier last year, Facebook changed their algorithm, and the information that appeared in your news feed changed dramatically. So there was a time when you would see organic ads. So, content that was posted, and say you're, brand X and you're selling diapers. If you have, any parameters that might make you a potential customer for diapers, you would be seeing those ads in your news feed. Well, with the change, that stopped. So the only way you're really seeing most ads is through paid media. And this is a necessity. So if you're using the social platforms, you need to spend money to support your messaging. So, at the time, organic did work. Now we need to use paid advertising, and you need to really think about what your goals are when you are using that as one of your tactics. So whether you're looking at number of views for videos, or you want to capture, how many shares. It all depends what your KPIs are, but very important to use paid media as part of your overall mix. Okay, I think we're ready for the next slide, Todd. The next area would be influencer marketing. And we've seen a lot of people come out of the woodwork, and a lot of them are self-called experts. Some of them truly are experts, but the idea or the labeling of influencer status is becoming pretty much very regular these days. And there are some influencers who are really amazing and have large followings, and there are some that have some local notoriety and are great with grassroots programs. I think there's room in the market for all of them. And it's just a matter of what you're looking for and the type of people you're trying to connect with that might be connected to that influencer. And, through things like the live events with Facebook and Instagram, people can do that with their different followers. Social media as well. I mean, we've talked about Facebook already, but, in general, social media, it's no longer a nice to have, it's a must have. And you have to have a well thought out strategy to be working efficiently with social media, because you could spend a lot of money without really understanding, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. So it's extremely important to have expertise in social when you are working on a digital program. And just a little fact for you, probably not a big surprise, but in Ontario, we are the most connected province in the country in terms of using social media, and 67% of Ontario's 14.2 million residents have a social media account. Think about that for a second. 14.2 million just in Ontario. That's crazy. So there is a potential to reach a lot of eyeballs using social media. The next area I would like to talk about is user-generated content, or UGC for short. And for some people, they don't even think about it anymore as, a way to communicate, but it really is still an important part of the overall mix, the digital mix, because not only are you giving people a platform to communicate, but you also need to be able to listen. You need to follow the conversation, understand what people are saying, and it's also equally important that whatever messaging you're putting out there through your content marketing really is true to your brand, with the value and the voice, and follows the consumer journey. And with UGC as well, there was a time when brands didn't want to go on to social media because they didn't know how to use it, and they were scared if someone would say something negative. These days, you're going to see a mixture of positive and negative feedback on different social platforms, and that's okay. I think, it's important to moderate to a certain degree, but we need to let people just, say what they need to say, because consumers are smart, and, if you're, basically censoring things, it's not going to bode well for a brand. And then the next point I want to talk about is just in general, AI. I mean, the whole thing about, computers and smart home products taking over the world. I mean, I do think we are tethered to technology. Things like live chat and having customer service online, whether it's, on your computer or on your phone. Most of us don't want to pick up the phone anymore. We want to just have this relationship, this experience through the automation. So it's really, good to see what's out there. If you're thinking about doing that as part of a program that you're working on, to think about how you can use it and use it to benefit your business, but also to simplify life for others. So yeah,
great. That's
yeah.
Super. Thanks. Those are very interesting trends. So, and we try to take some of those trends and obviously incorporate them into the program, so that when you guys are looking for jobs or trying to implement what you've learned, obviously you're sort of in front of the curve. Can you maybe talk a bit about? Sorry, I think we skipped the slide there. Okay, that's fine. Can you maybe just talk about what advice you would give to people who are new to the field or looking to specialize in digital marketing?
Sure. if you're considering this as your career path or an area you just want to beef up in, I think it's really important to be curious. You need to read and research regularly. It should be something that you enjoy. It's not a chore. It's, part of your ongoing learning. And I think you'll gain expertise by reading. The next thing would be to hone your listening skills. There are many tools out there in the market that can help listen for you. Some of the social media planning tools, but it's really valuable to listen and understand what you're hearing and be able to see how that impacts your overall strategy. Take note of how brands follow you. So, for example, you've probably noticed if you're looking at a story and, for example, if it's on Facebook and it's about vacations to Australia, then all of a sudden, wherever you go, whether you're on YouTube or you're in Gmail or what have you, you're seeing flight offers to Australia or some cute video about a koala. It could all be different types of ways to, get into your mind about, Australia, but the brand is following you because it's learned from your behavior what is your interest. I would familiarize yourself with all the social marketing and media platforms. Play around with them. Try the free versions before you buy them. Make sure you know how they work and what they do. I jokingly say eat technology for breakfast, but because we're always learning and always on, you've got to basically start it with your breakfast. So whether you're reading something on your phone while you have your morning coffee, or you are watching the news, or however you're consuming your information, just remember to keep learning about technology. And then the last point I would make is about, looking to other countries to see how they are using digital marketing. And, countries that I like to look at include the UK, Spain, India, and Australia. I like to see what people do differently and think about how that may or may not work in our market, because it's not always the same, but it's still very interesting. So that would probably be my last point.
Thanks, Rebecca. And maybe because I'm just sensitive to time, just because it's getting a little late, is there anything you want to say about sort of this slide in terms of early marketers, current digital marketers? Maybe just a comment or two, but
sure. I'll keep it brief. Early marketers, I think we've covered for the most part. Right now, you need to be willing to take some calculated risks. You've got to think mobile first. You've got to think about a brand becoming your own publisher, because that's how content marketing germinates, and that's really important. And then I think the last piece would be, to think about, your marketing as a funnel, and you want to cast the widest net to catch the biggest fish so they can come to the bottom of the funnel, to the bottom of the net. And this way you can retarget and learn and capture data about people throughout the journey, the process.
Great. That's awesome, Rebecca. Thanks for being with us today, and thanks for sharing your insights. Rebecca is going to hang around for the Q&A, so if you have specific questions, I certainly would encourage you to ask, just because we've got her and she's got a lot more insights, obviously, than I do into the actual field of digital and content marketing. So, okay, before we get there, I'm just going to do two quick things. I know it's getting a little late. I just wanted to take people to our website quickly and show you a couple of quick things. Get my cursor. Okay, so I'm sure you've all been to our website. If you sort of scroll down, there's that video. You can see that again. Some facts about sort of the growth of the market and why this is why really we decided to create these programs. You can see that there's the three different programs here: digital, content, and the full-time. I'll just click on the digital one for a quick sec. They're all very similar, but I'll just show you the digital one. So here at the top, there's an enroll button, and there's a talk to our team. So if you click on the enroll button, you can kind of see the two offerings we have now. One is winter, which starts on January 21st, next week, and one is starts in the fall. The content marketing is good to start in the fall, and so is the full-time version. So the only thing at the moment that's going to be running is the 3-course digital program, and that's going to start in next week. So to register, click on the button, follow the prompts, easy enough. I'll just click on the link for one quick sec to show you the 3 courses, and it also includes the dates of those in-class sessions. So if you've got questions around, scheduling your time of when those will happen, you can kind of see that with more detail. All right, so I'll leave that with you. Otherwise, I'll go back to my slide deck and I will just answer all your questions. So, okay, so in terms of contact us, so here's information. I'll leave this on the screen while I go through the questions. I'll go through the questions that have been posted, which have been great. So I'll go through those. If you have more, just keep asking them. So the first question was from AG, and the question was, I think, was around the project related to working with real companies and their group projects. So usually about 4 or 5 students in a group, just because we don't have an organization for every single person. So certainly it's more of a group. Oops, sorry, go back to that. It's certainly more of a group project. Was, depends on, there's gonna be 30 students in the class, so we'll probably have, let's say, 5 or 6 groups of 5, and all those people will participate and work with the different companies. Now we may have 2 or 3 groups working on the same company, which is fine, or we may have individual companies, so we're still kind of getting that sorted out. So I think that answers that question. The next question is from, sorry if I say this incorrectly, Sinthu. Cynthia was just asking about the requirements for the full-time program and the GPA requirement. I think it's a B or better. And certainly if you've been working in the field, certainly if you've done better the last 2 years of your schooling, which I think is what you wrote, I do look at those things. So I don't just look at a number at the bottom. I try and look at the whole picture. If you're a mature student, you've been out of school for a while, you didn't do so well in school, but you've been working, all those things, just try to make sure people are going to be successful. And at the end of the day, as I said, that's really the goal, is to make sure that you guys are successful in the program. So however I can kind of assess that, I do. Okay, for the certificate program, are the classes held at a particular time or recorded and uploaded? Yeah, so great question. Sorry if I didn't clarify that earlier. So the 3 course certificates, and they're blended. So 7 weeks of online, 1 weekend block of face-to-face. The online portions are what we call asynchronous. They are not live. So I think Carrie, actually, she's the instructor for the first course. I think the first week she does have a live session, which she'll record, but she just wants to connect with people and kind of give a little introductory presentation. But typically, the courses are actually asynchronous, so you can do it in the morning, you can do it at night, you can do it after the kids go to bed. Totally your call when you do the work. There are set deadlines. It's not self-directed, but you will be, required to sort of complete certain tasks at certain times. But if you're part of a discussion board, when you post in that week is really up to you. If it's on Sunday and on Monday, on Tuesday, etc. So I think that answers that question. So somebody's asking about what's the difference between an MBA and our diploma program. There's probably a very big difference. An MBA is going to be, I think, delve a lot deeper. An MBA will be much more strategic. This program that we created, a full-time version, the 8 courses, it's really more geared towards working professionals to make sure you're going to be successful as you venture into digital marketing, take on more work at your organization, or you look for new work. So very, very sort of specific to digital or content. An MBA is going to be a little more broad with finance and probably a strategy class and project management and a whole different variety of topics. Our program is definitely geared toward digital marketing. Okay. Oh, great. A question for Rebecca. It's from Angelina. She's asking, how does this program treat data-driven decision making? Is that something you feel comfortable answering, Rebecca?
Not really sure how to answer that one in terms of the actual program itself.
Okay.
Todd, if you can help with that one.
Yeah, I'm not, again, not being a content expert, I apologize, Angelina. I'm not sure I can answer it either. So how does this program treat data-driven? Well, the only thing I can certainly say is understanding the business aspect of the program is certainly incorporated into it. So it's not just the tactical piece of learn how to use Facebook marketing or Google Analytics. It's always going to tie back to the ROI, right? Return on investment. So how do you make data-driven decisions? How do you analyze the data? How do you, what data is important? What data is not important? So I think from that perspective, certainly it's not just the tactical piece. It's certainly going to have more aspects of connecting it to the business goals to ensure that they're being met. So hopefully that answers Angelina. If not, send me a quick note and I'll do better and get a better answer for you. Okay, so the next question is from Shabazz, who's asking, how does this course help existing communications professionals, public relations, with additional skills? He's also Any considering PR as encompassing these days? Rebecca, do you want to try and answer that about how PR and digital marketing kind of fit together? Is that something you feel comfortable with?
Sure. I mean, you can talk a little bit about that. We like to use something called the PESO model, which incorporates paid with the letter P, earned, shared, and I'm drawing a blank, and owned media. So, definitely PR is part of that. That would fall under the earned media. So if you put out a press release and someone picks it up and you get coverage, then that's earned media, and that should be part of your overall marketing, digital marketing plan. But it's not the only piece, and that's why we like to refer to the PESO model. And I'm sure that part of that is the measurement piece, which kind of connects to the other question. So I'm sure that those will be things that get discussed. So I think it's a good question, but PR is definitely part of it.
Cool. I have another question for you. So Bilal is just sort of asking, maybe at a very high level, if you just sort of explain the difference between digital and content marketing and how they fit together.
Sure. So digital marketing is more of a broader term and encompasses, I think, all of digital marketing. So, and it looks at search, it looks at social, it looks at, video, it looks at everything. I'm drawing a blank. I'm just getting over pneumonia. But, when we look at, the specifics of content marketing, that really is more so coming from the directive of a client looking to tell a certain story, for the content to be curated. And, you might use some of those other digital areas that I just touched upon, but it really is coming at it from a different direction where you're focusing on using your content to market your message. Does that help answer your question? If not, let Todd know and we can delve deeper.
Yeah, nope, that's great. Thanks. AG is just asking, what if you miss one of the face-to-face sessions? Great question. The answer is you cannot continue on. So it's only the 2 days. It's a requirement of the program to attend those 2 days. So if you can't make it, unfortunately, there's too much content that's presented that weekend and you can't make it up. There's group work that's sort of happening and groups working together. And if you're not a part of that, it really does sort of impact your experience and also the other students' experience. So it is a requirement that you attend the face-to-face sort of in-person courses. Okay. AG is asking for a copy of the syllabus. Yep, I can sort of help with that. Okay, so Shabazz is asking, I'm a PR professional from India with 5+ years of experience in communications marketing. I recently migrated to Canada and intend to work with the best PR agencies. Does this course help with networking with professionals from industry too? Also will help with Canadian, North American digital content and marketing. So a couple of things. One is, if your goal is to sort of be in public relations, we do offer a public relations program, separate sort of commercial for that. So if that's sort of a better fit for your interest, that may be something you might want to think about. That program starts in September, along with the full-time digital one, but that is something that's just launched and being developed. In terms of networking with industry, certainly there's that project, but there's no guarantee that that sort of company is going to be residing where you live. I'm not sure if you're local or not, but that company that we work with may be in Vancouver or Saskatoon. So there's no sort of telling where those companies will come from. So there are associations, certainly from a public relations perspective. There's 2 associations, if you're not familiar. One is called IABC and CPRS. So sorry, I may have said wrong. IABC and CPRS. And that may be a great place to network with people. I don't know, Rebecca, do you have any suggestions for networking in the marketing space in Toronto, at least, since that's where we are?
Sure. I mean, there are lots of different things that happen. They're called the American Marketing Association, although they have a Toronto chapter. They do a lot of great events. There are all sorts of meetups that happen as well. And then there's the Ad Club of Toronto that has a variety of different people, both agency and client side, as well as as some of the suppliers. So certainly there's lots that exist. You just have to connect with the right group. I think whether you use LinkedIn or Facebook, but there's lots out there on some of the social platforms, especially the business platforms, that you could get involved with, and TEDx, of course, too, because there's usually some marketing related ones that happen in Toronto.
Yep. Okay, so the next one is Ramya asking about contacting instructors. Yeah, if you just send us a note, we can sort of reach out to them. I probably at this point won't be giving out their emails to prospective students, but certainly if you have questions, send them to us and we'll do our best to answer them. If we can't, then we'll certainly send it off to the instructor. Okay, Shabazz is asking about the online components. So yeah, I probably didn't explain this very well. I apologize, but so we have a course management system. It's called Moodle. Some people have heard of Blackboard and things like that. So all the content is posted to Moodle, videos, articles. The instructors created PowerPoint decks, practice activities, a whole bunch of sort of variety of sort of tools to help you learn the material, and all that stuff is available to you. So once you log into the site, it's web-based, so you can be anywhere. It doesn't matter where in the world, you can certainly access it. You can certainly then download those PDF documents or watch the videos somewhere else. Sometimes it's TED Talks, sometimes it's YouTube videos, sometimes it's the instructor speaking. So a variety of resources to sort of present the material to you. And then, like I said, there's lots of activities to sort of get people working in groups, discussion questions, those kinds of things. So no problem sort of accessing the material anywhere you are, and certainly downloading it is no problem. Okay. Bilal's just asking, which is better, the 3 courses done separate or the full-time? Yeah, that's a tricky question. Really depends on you, your interests, what are your goals, what are you hoping to do, what's your background, do you already have some marketing experience? If you don't, then certainly the full-time might be a better fit for you. If you're an international student, you have to take the full-time version to come to Canada and get a study permit. So there's some other factors. So if you want to just reach out to us, Bilal, we can certainly have more of a private conversation about your interests, and I can certainly help you, or Carmela can certainly direct you to the program that's the best fit. One thing you may want to think about doing, Bilal, is going on to some of the job search websites and just look up a job that you think you'd want to get, and look at some of the requirements. They look for a degree, an MBA, a certificate in marketing. So look to some of the see some of the things that they require, and then you can figure out which program is the best fit for you. Okay, so Geetha is asking, I've been on a break of 3 years after 9 years in media sales. Can I apply for the program, or is it for executives? Oh gosh, it's open to everybody. So maybe you weren't here when we first started, we did a little poll, but some people have 6, 7 years of experience, some people have no experience. The way adult learning works is it's not just the instructor sharing information, it's students learning from each other, the instructor learning from the students, and the students obviously learning from the instructor. So it's a little more holistic of everyone learns from each other. So if you've got some experience that you can bring to the classroom, that's always wonderful, and we encourage the sort of group discussions and those things where people can share their experiences and how the content relates to real life. So if you've got lots of experience and things like that, that just makes the experience of everyone better. So yeah, open to everybody. All right, awesome question, guys. So there's a question from Nicole about will you be using Hootsuite and Google Analytics and those kinds of things. Certainly, I'm aware of Google Analytics, but I've been hearing the term. Not sure about the Hootsuite, honestly. I don't know if the other courses, we haven't sort of fully developed all of them. They're still in process of being developed. So if you want to send me a note, I can sort of forward that to the instructor and kind of get a sense if that sort of software is being discussed. But we did certainly talk about some softwares, but we try to make the program not too software specific so that the software changes. Things are always sort of, new things are emerging, that you still have the skills, and people are pretty good to figure those sort of softwares out. But Google Analytics certainly is the leader in all that stuff. So that's certainly a part of the program. So I'm just reading some of the questions. So Shabazz is asking, yep, so again, the program is for people who have no experience, some people who have some experience, some people have more than that. Open to everybody. So certainly I would suggest if you have no experience in marketing, it may be a little harder for you to jump into the digital program just because there's going to be an expectation you understand the world of marketing before you specialize in digital. So if you don't have that, I would certainly encourage you to do some reading and brush up on some basic foundations in marketing about consumer behavior, branding, the 4 Ps, how to create a marketing plan. All those things are sort of some foundation things that you should probably have a good understanding of before you jump into the more detailed program in digital or content. So Geet is asking, how would you compare a program on data analytics with digital marketing from a career perspective point of view? Again, it really just goes back to what's your career goal. The data program that we offer, is about creating digital data, storyboards and how to analyze data, how to clean the data. It's much more focused on the data. This program is at a higher level, looking at digital, and data is one part of that, but digital marketing is much broader. So again, just depends on what your goals are and what your background is and what you need in terms of skills and knowledge to get you to the next stage. So Shabazz is asking, what tools will you have access to during the course? Again, not being the instructor, I'm not sure exactly what they have planned for you having access to Google Analytics and those kinds of things, but certainly they're a big part of the program in terms of creating, fake accounts so you can kind of see these things in action. Probably just don't have enough insight to know how that's being done to give you the answer today. I should also say, and I was waiting to say this at the very, very end, so I want to end on this, and there's a few other questions, so sorry I don't have a chance to get to them all. But one thing I want to say is very important. So if you're thinking about doing our digital program, and I waited to the end because I didn't want people to jump off. If you're thinking about doing our digital program, there are only 2 more seats available. I'm capping it at 30 students, and we have 28. So not to pressure people, but if you want to sort of be in the program that starts on January 21st, I would certainly encourage you to register much sooner than later, because once those 30 spots are taken, it'll be closed, and the next offering won't be until fall. So if that's what your thoughts are, certainly that's what you should be thinking about. So the fall program will be the 3-course certificate in digital, in content, and the full-time. But if you want the one that's starting in January 21st in digital, there are only 2 spots left. So I think it'll end it on that. Hopefully this was interesting to people. Hopefully found it helpful. I appreciate you guys sticking around. There's a good 20 people who are still hovering and part of the discussion, so I appreciate everyone taking their time. Thanks to Rebecca for sharing her insights with us. That's greatly appreciated. And the contact us is up on the screen if you have further questions about courses. If I didn't get to your question today, there was quite a few I didn't get to, I apologize. Certainly reach out to us and we can follow up and do that. And have an awesome day. Thanks for listening. And we hope you think about our program, because I think it's going to be really, really good. All right, guys, enjoy the afternoon. I'm signing off.